like a ton of notes, but I know I wanted to kind of like come together first of the month as we are kicking off December. And I wrote down like some bullet points, but I don't have, like I said, I don't have a ton of notes for tonight. But I want to start this Zoom off by talking about like goals and talking about your vision. And I know that that becomes kind of like cliche as we're going into a new month, but it truly is kind of like a, are you going to bring old energy into a new month kind of thing for me? Every single month, I look at like what happened last month. What did I kind of drop the ball on? I'm open and honest with myself. And I'm like, how can I do better next month? And I don't know if you guys have been feeling it, but I certainly have felt over the last couple of months, like especially burnt out with that travel assignment and just taking on a lot of extra things. And I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago on how we are kind of dispersing some of the things that we have done as a team, like these weekly Zooms. I think that we need to stay closer to the fire. I think we need to stay closer to our community and Lionhearted, and coming together once a month right now in this season for us, I think that is enough. And you guys are welcome to put it in the chat how you're feeling, or go ahead and unmute yourself. But for right now, I think that's enough. I think that we need to focus on individually, like what is your vision for your business and where do we go from here? And I think whenever you start a brand new month, that's something that we kind of think about. And sometimes we hang on to like negativity of the last month and the month before that and the month before that, especially if consistently you've been in this rut where maybe your inbox is not popping, or maybe you haven't had customer enrollments coming in. That is the time to reflect. Instead of thinking that something is wrong in your business, that is the time to reflect and say, how can I move different so that I get different results? And one of the things that I like to look back on, that kind of like when I go into like birthdays and see if there's anybody on my birthday list that I would like to say happy birthday to, I kind of go through my Facebook memories. And as you've been here long enough, you'll repeat your Facebook memories and you'll see, what was Kristen doing last year? What was Harriet doing last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? Like what was Karen doing last year, this day? And it might bring back those memories of like, man, I was really killing it then. Man, I was really bringing in customers. I was really in the gym. I was really working on myself. And that shows. And so when you are starting to think about your goals for this month, like I want you to start product wise. Like if you could throw in the chat, like what are some of your product goals for this month? And it might not be like sign X amount of customers, but for me, it's this E60 challenge with our customer group. It is staying consistent to healthy habits. It is that getting back to me, kind of feeling that I lost for a long time with that travel assignment. I'm telling you, I wasn't working out. I wasn't drinking my water. I was barely peeing twice a day. I was not sleeping right. I gained weight, right? Like it showed in so many different levels. And that bled out. It bled out into my business. It bled out into me not enrolling customers, me not enrolling promoters. My last promoter came in, I think it was September, and that was Ginger, right? But that's something that I have to reflect on as a leader and say, it's not something wrong with the business. It's something wrong with what I'm doing, right? And so for me, product goals is getting back to me. It's getting back to not just sharing my 3 steps in my stories every day, but like, why is Amber still taking it? Like, why does she still take it 4 years later? Why does it still matter? Right? What exactly is it doing for her? Is it helping her be more patient with her kids? How old are her kids now? What are they into? Right? It's sharing a little bit behind the scenes. What are some of the plus line products that she's loving right now that's helping her through her journey? And for me, it's getting my butt back in the gym. It is doing the things that I know I needed to do for a very long time that I just kind of like slid under the rug. And I am a professional, like slide it under the rug, avoid conflict. Like we're just not going to deal with that right now. We're going to pretend like it's not happening, right? In many different areas in my life, right? When it comes to conflict, arguments with Sean or anything, right? I'm always like, like we're just gonna shelf that, right? But at some point you have to be open and honest with yourself and say, am I actually working my business the way that I need to be working my business? Am I working my business the way that I was last year? Am I working my business the way that I did when I first came in? Is my fire still lit? And if it's not, why is that? Why is that? Because if you wake up and you don't take your products tomorrow, how are you going to feel? If I woke up and I didn't take my products tomorrow, I would be dragging butt. I would be exhausted. I would be cranky. Like I know for a fact that I wouldn't like myself, right? And so that's where I start. That's where I start every single day. Is it's like, you know what? My passion is still here for the product line, right? But how can we expect a health and wellness product line to work when we're binge eating at night in the pantry because we're stressed out, right? How can we expect to sign customers when we have unhealthy habits that we're not attending to, when we're not getting enough sleep, when we're not being, I'm not trying to say like the epitome of health, but like, are you doing anything for yourself besides just swallowing 2 capsules, drinking a shake, and slapping on a patch? Do you know what I mean? Like, are you being a little more than surface level with your products? And for me, for a while, I wasn't. For a while, I was just taking my products and hoping that somebody would get in my inbox, right? I was barely doing my IPAs during that travel assignment. And like, I see that now. I wasn't living in my planner. I wasn't living in the playbook. I had not even opened up the playbook. I like printed it out, but like I hadn't even like sat down with it. Let me let the dog back in. Hang on one second. And we're gonna get into that in just a little bit. But I want you to really think about that. Like, what are your product goals for this month? And it doesn't have to be the E60 challenge, but maybe it's like, you know what, I'm going to drink a little bit more water. I'm going to move my body a little bit more, or I'm going to implement something healthier for me. Maybe it's stretching. Maybe it's not working out. Maybe it's stretching. Maybe it's, I don't know what it is for you. Maybe it's implementing something to help you sleep better at night. What is it that is improving your season right now? For me, it's the daggum sleep gummies. I love those sleep gummies, you guys. I was like all about rest for the longest time, but like now Sean's got me on some sleep gummies and Balance and Biotic. Like I'm feeling bomb.com on Balance and Biotic. And I'm not afraid to share that. Like, I'm not afraid to share that, like, guess what? Like Amber was slacking in the gym a little bit and now she's going to get back at it. Like, that is my journey. Like, I let stress get in the way, and I'm not afraid to share with my audience that, guess what? Yeah, like I gained some weight. It doesn't mean that my products don't work. It means that like Amber wasn't working for her products, right? It means that I wasn't doing what I needed to do. Okay. And so Move Pro. Oh, let me know what you think about that a little bit more, but I haven't tried that one yet as far as like joints are concerned. Just let me know what you think, but share about that, right? Like share your loves, share your passion, take yourself back to like day one when you started thriving. Like, why did you do that? Right? What made you implement that change? Right? It was because what you wanted long term was more beneficial in your eyes than staying stuck. And we have to make that decision that that's what we want, right? Because a lot of the times we will give up what we want long term for what we want right now. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. Sorry, you guys. A lot of people get stuck on, well, this sounds better right now. This sounds easier right now. Well, guess what? You've wanted that goal X, Y, or Z for such amount of time, but you've always sacrificed that long-term goal. You've sacrificed that long-term vision for what you want right now, right? You've sacrificed that long-term vision of building your team because right now the IPAs don't seem like they matter, right? You've sacrificed that long-term vision of having a healthier body and being stronger and having more muscle, right? Because you didn't want to go to the gym because it's cold, right? Or you told yourself that you didn't know where to start. It's these long-term visions, these long-term goals that we sacrifice because it seems so far away. But what you have to understand is that vision, having that vision for what you want out of your product line, for what you want out of your business, what you want your team to look like, what you want your paychecks to look like, that has to go 3+ levels deep, right? Like the reason why we joined and we hit that promoter button, yeah, probably was to make a couple extra bucks, right? But like, why? Why does that matter? And to each and every one of us, it's different, right? To each and every one of us, it was like, well, maybe I can put my bills on auto pay. Well, maybe I can make a couple more $100 and take some stress off my husband. Well, maybe I can get out of this house and get into a better house with me and my kids. Maybe I can put my kids in a better school. Well, why does that matter? Because it's stressing my kids out, because it's stressing my husband out, because I can't keep going every single month and putting bills behind, right? Like, why does that matter? You got to get deep, 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 deep with your vision and your goals. And some of us, we just write it down and you write it on your vision board and you're like, okay, well, that's my goal for the month. My goal is 4K, but then like you don't look at it again. You close your planner and you go on throughout your day and you post your products and you just move through the motions. And that's what I feel like we kind of like got into that rut as a team together. And I'm calling BS on us, right? I'm calling BS that we're not going to sit here anymore and play surface level. At least I'm not. Like, I'm bold enough to call myself out and say, Amber, you weren't doing it right, right? Like, Amber, there's no need to be leading team Zooms if you can't even lead yourself. Like, you got to get back to you. You got to get back to what works for you. You got to get it back to being stronger individually as a leader, right? I'm humble enough to say that to you guys, that individually, we all have to get a little bit stronger. Okay. I love you, but we all have to. Okay. And I feel like we lost that when we branched off a little bit from Lionhearted. I feel like we stopped showing up to the big Zooms and we started showing up to our own Zooms. And it was needed in the moment for us to step into and start learning how to lead a Zoom and how to lead an opportunity event. But we lost the long-term vision, right? We lost the long-term vision of why we were doing this in the first place. And I don't know who feels that, but I felt that. And I know if I'm feeling it as your leader, I know somebody else got to feel it too. And I love that we're back together as a community. I love that we have our big potentials page. Utilize that, utilize your resources. Harriet and I were talking the other day about the playbook. I literally was sitting down and looking at it again today, and I have it organized into a binder. And I said, you know what? I'll be damned if I'm gonna go another month. I'm sorry for cussing, but if I'm gonna go another month without using this thing, these are resources that were given to us by our mentors who have made millions. Like, why aren't we using it? Right? It's because we get into our head and we get into our ego of, I don't have time, or I just don't know where to start, or I don't know what my goals are, or I don't have anything important to run after, or whatever, right? You get down to the nitty gritty of all the resources that are provided to us. We have 4+ years of resources in that team page, in the Lionhearted page. I'm not saying that Relentless is not important. We're still going to pour into Relentless. We're still going to keep it going, but lock back to your vision with Lionhearted, right? Get out your playbook, print it out. Some of the things we're going to go over it are your goals at the very top. Monthly business overview. What are your goals, right? And I know a lot of the times we do surface level goals. We say, I'm going to sign however many promoters. I'm not signing however many customers, but like, why? Why does that matter? Right? Who have you thought of in your head of maybe conversations that you've been having, and why does it matter to them? Because I know I got women in my inbox who want safer homes for their babies. I know I've got women who are struggling mentally and they need the community. I know, like, I look at the conversations that I'm having and I tailor my content based on the conversations that I'm having with them, but then they become my goals, right? Because sometimes we can get so tunnel visioned. I was talking to Carissa about this earlier. She's one of our promoters, but she doesn't come on the Zooms too much because she told me, like, flat out, she's like, I'm not going to build a team. I'm like, okay, I respect that. But we were talking about how, like, sometimes we can be so tunnel visioned on why we started and why it matters to us that we lose that connection and that empathy with other people, that like, for example, Amber may have started because she's a career burnout. Amber may have started because she couldn't pay her bills on time. But then someone else over here needed the community, right? Because they were suffering mentally and they needed the support and they needed to be able to strengthen in that area. And then there's somebody else over here who needed something else from the business, right? Not just what you came here for, right? And so that's why it's important to get into the interactions, to get into beyond the surface level stuff that you do for your business. You show your products on your stories, right? You talk about why you're taking them and you do a post or reel or live or whatever. Like, boom, like that's your non-negotiables, that's your surface level. But like, are we talking to people? Right? Are we offering samples? Are we offering ourselves as a leader? Are we talking about ourselves in a manner that makes somebody else want to have you as their leader, right? Are you humble enough to say, like, I'm not perfect, but like I'm working on me, and this is what matters to me with my team, right? Like I want people to come in and I want them to feel safe. I want people to come in and I want them to feel like they have community here. One of my biggest goals for our customer page is for people to look at that at that space and say, I'm getting so much value here, I want to invite a friend, right? That it's not just here's your coupon, like here's your Black Friday sale, and then here's your Christmas sale. It's like they're talking mindset in here. They're talking about challenging themselves in here. They're talking about better habits in here. They are helping me in so many other ways. That's what I want people to get out of our customer group. And so when you think about your goals for the month, it's like, what are your goals for your customers? What are your goals for your team? What does Kristen's team feel like? Like, what does Harriet's team feel like and Karen's team feel like? What do they see as her as a leader, right? Is she humble enough to explain where she's at right now, where she was before, and where she's going tomorrow? Is she courageous enough to talk about things before they are come into fruition? Right? Is she bold enough to talk about the fact that she can't wait to have an auto bonus, that she can't wait to have 2 auto bonuses in her household, right? Is she bold enough to talk about trips or whatever that maybe you haven't achieved yet, but like you're stepping into that next level leader and you decide that you're going to make it happen? Because people, listen, we don't just like go 4K when people start joining us. I think that's some of the misconception that we get in this business, is that like our next rank is coming when once people start joining my team, or once I start enrolling customers, then my volume is going to go up and I'm going to re-rank, or I'm going to rank up to the next level. But that is not it. You will rank up to the next level when you make the decision that you're going to rank up to the next level. I know that sounds so simple, but that decision of I'm not going to sit here and rank boss anymore. The decision of I'm going to make it happen. I've done like piddled around too long. I'm going to make it happen this time. That decision is what changes your actions. That's what changes your demeanor when you're showing up on your stories. You talk a little bit different and you get out of your own way and you stop sharing more than just, boomerangs of products, and you start sharing your voice a little bit more, right? And you start stretching yourself and you start maybe showing up to the Work With Me Zooms a little bit more. That's something that I've been doing lately, is it's like, you know what, like my ego got in the way a little bit. And I said, I don't need to work with me, right? I don't need to work with me. But like now I'm hopping on the Work With Me's and I'm like, oh my God, how did I not know that? Right? I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've been here for X amount of years and this girl just joined like last week and she's leading a Work With Me and she's teaching me stuff. Like, what a beautiful community. But then you also get to share that. You get to share that you're part of a community that teaches you the how. All the person needs is the why, the reason to come in. And then you as the leader, you take their hand and you say, baby girl, this is where we're going. Right? But you have to be humble enough to tell yourself like where you're slacking. You have to. And it's not an easy conversation. And a lot of the times we like to look left and we like to look right. We like to compare ourselves to other people. And we like to say, well, it must be easier for them, or it must be easier over there. They're making it look so easy. No, You got to get down to the nitty gritty of what we're doing with our business. And are we truly treating this like a business or not? And I don't know about you, but that mindset of seeing things whenever they launch and immediately counting yourself out, like, I'm not here for that anymore. I'm just not, right? Whether it happens or not, like, I'm adopting the mentality that double, triple fast starts are mine, right? I'm adopting the mentality that trips are mine, that any promotions, like, I am capable of earning them because I've earned them in the past, right? But you have to adopt the mentality that it's going to happen, right? Because for the longest time, like, when things would come out like that, double, triple fast starts, for example, I was so up in my ego that I didn't even care. Like, I just didn't think it was for me at all. So I didn't even know what it was for the longest time. I was just like, oh, that's not for me. That's not for me. I'll catch the next one. I'll catch the next promo, whatever's happening. Right. But if you're constantly like in that mentality of, oh, well, next time, oh, well, next time, then there's never going to be a next time because you keep pushing it back. It's like diet starts Monday mentality with your business. And that's a dangerous slope. And I say that with a full heart because I've been there, because I know what that feels like to say, oh, well, I'm definitely not going to earn that one. So I guess we'll just see what the next trip is. Or I'm definitely not going to earn that because I don't have potentials in my inbox right now. So, right? It doesn't matter that nobody is in your inbox right now. I could have like 8 people who have told me they're ready for the business, and I still don't make triple fast starts happen with them. Right? They might still be all up in their fields. They might not still have the money. They might not still be ready, but I can go do triple fast starts with somebody else. Right? Because I can step up as a leader and I can start sharing that a little bit more. I can get a little bit more bold. Right? What were we on? We were on the Lionheart huddle last night. Me and Harriet, at least I remember texting her, and I was just like, I guess your girl needs to get back on TikTok. And for the longest time, I didn't want to get on TikTok because I thought people were mean on TikTok. And there I go again, like shoving things under the rug. And I'm just like, well, I'm just not going to build on TikTok. I'm just going to build over on Instagram and over on Facebook because that's where I'm comfortable. Right? But where is that going to get us? Right? And so you have to be humble enough as a leader to tell yourself, hey, like, I could actually grow in this area. This is something that scares the crap out of me. It's something that I need to do a little bit more. Right? Shoot, what else did I write down? The playbook. Harriet said in text message the other day, she goes, it's the playbook. She's like, I was looking at it and they give us all these resources and all you got to do is run the play. Right? Just run the play. And I'm like, oh, that's a good analogy, even though I hate football. Like, you just got to run the play. I hate football with a passion. That's deep rooted. We're not going to get into that right now, but all you have to do is run the play. You have the resources available. You have the capability of answering your own question of why you feel stuck in this business, of why you feel like you struggle with X, Y, or Z in this business. The answer is there. It's behind the questions that you're too scared to ask, honestly. It's behind the questions that you're not searching for in the team page. It's behind the questions that you're not texting, right, to your team and saying, how would you guys handle this? Or what would you do if this? It's behind the lack of collaboration as a team. But most importantly is you got to be willing to dig for your own answers. You got to be willing to change for your own answers, because sometimes you can run the play in any sport. That's very true. But you got to be able to do the research and be willing to change the way that you do things a little bit to see if you get different results. Right? What else did I say? Oh my gosh. Utilizing the resources. I also put on here the gift of growth. What a blessing. Did you guys listen to Em and Courtney's Zoom that they did? I don't know if you saw it, but I'll put it in the chat tonight before I go to bed. But in the Lionhearted team page, Em put up this graphic for the whole month of December, and they've got like so many different leaders from out the whole company, not just Lionhearted. There's like 4 or 5 Lionhearted people on there, but like there's like Maria Dillard, there's like other people that are huge leaders in this industry, and they called it the gift of growth. And it's basically like, look at the calendar and see when you can plug it in. Like, when can you show up and watch that? Like, when else are you going to get Maria Dillard pouring into you on a Zoom, right? Without having to like track her down. When else are you going to get Courtney Glaser? When else are you going to get Coop? These are big leaders that have so much value beyond Lionhearted. And I love that, like, the Lavelle community, period, point blank, like came together and said, we're going to help our leaders grow. But like, why not utilize those resources? Just because, you know, it's a busy month for you, or maybe you've got family things going on. I know we do. But if you give yourself those excuses, like I did for the longest time, of always having a job, or always not having enough time to run the business, not having enough time to be a leader, then I'm letting go of my long-term vision for short-term sacrifice, right? For short-term, what I want right now. What I want right now is to tell myself that it's hard. What I want right now is to tell myself that the reason why X, Y, or Z is happening in my business is because I work. It's because I'm a mom. It's because I'm busy. It's because I have a lot going on. It's because. That's the easy way. The hard way is fighting through what is in between me and my long-term vision, and what exactly has been holding me back in my business. And only you know that answer. The gift of growth. Work with me, as we talked about that. Getting back to you and whatever that looks like for you. You might not have the same goals as me, and that's fine. But that's my biggest goal, is getting back to me, because I felt like I was losing myself with that assignment. And I know I bit off more than I could chew. But it's that realization to say, you know what, like, I'm not going to allow this in my life anymore. Like, I'm not going to lose myself. I'm not going to go back into, you know, like self-pity with my business. I'm not going to let myself go back into this arena of like not working out, not taking care of myself, like not, like, I'm not going to show up as a fraud on social media. I'm just not. And I hate to say that, but like, there are a lot of people that show up on social media and they don't even take their products. They don't even use their products, right? It's just like Hollywood. They get paid to present an ad to you, and then like people flock and go buy that product because like Drew Barrymore was in a bathtub with shampooed hair saying that she uses Garnier. She didn't use Garnier, right? But like, I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to be the person that people come to and they're going to be like, you know what? She's been so loyal. You know what? She's been here for the long haul. You know what? I can trust her because she's been at this for X amount of time. She keeps talking about this. She keeps talking about her passion. She keeps talking about how Thrive is working for her in whatever season that she's walking through right now. And she continues to stay the course for her vision, period. Right? The last thing I want to give you that I read this morning from the book that I'm reading. The book is called Leading on Empty. And it is a book on burnout, of course. But the book is for pastors, actually. I didn't know that until I opened it up, but it is about, basically, I don't know if you guys have heard Craig Groeschel recently, but he's been doing a lot of talking about burnout, especially as well, as a pastor. And anyways, this book, let me get back. That's not the page. Let me get back to it. I read this morning, and it was recognizing the most important 5%. And so if you have a pen and piece of paper, I want you to write down 85%, 10%, 5%, or just take a mental note, 85, 10, 5. And what I want you to understand is, when I read this morning, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, that's perfect. But 85% of what we do, anybody else can do. Anybody can do it, right? Like, anybody can come in here and do my dishes. Anybody can come in and vacuum my kitchen. And you can look at your life, you can look at your business, you can look at whatever. You can apply this to many things. But 85% of what we do, anybody else can do. the 10% of what you do, somebody with like minimal training could do. So that's like when you teach somebody, like, here's how we do an opportunity event, right? Or I teach my kids, like, here's how you take the laundry to the laundry room, right? 10% of what you do can be taught to somebody else, like with good intention. You can teach people how to do. But 5%, where'd this go? 5% only you can do. It says, but 5% of what I do, only I can do. And this is the most important 5% for me. I can't delegate these initiatives to anybody else. I can't hire someone else to take my place in any of these activities because they require that I be there. This 5% will determine the validity of the other 95%. Basically what he was saying is like if you have like, imagine like you're juggling balls, right? And so you've got like your work and you've got your family and you've got your health and you've got your faith and you've got like your most 5 important things, like your job or whatever. You could like drop the ball, and what you'll see is that like it bounces, right? But like if you drop the ball on your faith, like that is gonna like shatter. That would be like glass, right? And so it's understanding the importance of what's glass, what's your 5%, and then like what actually is like a rubber ball that if you drop it, it's going to bounce back, right? And that is where it's important to understand where you need to hone in on. Because if you're struggling in your marriage, only you can fix you in your marriage, right? If you're struggling in your finances, like that's on you, boo-boo. Like we gotta work that out. If you're struggling in your health, it's on you. If you're struggling in your faith, nobody's gonna fix that but me, right? And it's understanding those 5% that you can't delegate out to anybody else, but recognizing when one of those 5% needs a little bit of work, right? And being humble enough to say, like, I have to work on this. Okay. And it's kind of the same thing in our business. Like, there's only so many things you can do. Nobody can develop you as a leader. Nobody can develop you with your self-development. Nobody can make you show up. Nobody can hold that faith for you. Nobody can have that long-term vision but you. And so there's only so many things in your business that you have to do yourself. Okay. I love you guys. I hope you have a new vision for December. I hope you are humble enough to say, you know what, like this is where I've got to focus, right? Instead of giving yourself the excuse of that you don't know what to do different or you've been doing all the things. I promise you, if you sit quiet with yourself and you look back, look at your playbook. Look at your playbook. I want you to write down your numbers, because on your playbook, on that monthly business overview at the very bottom, it says last month's income total. You write that number down, you're going to be humbled real quick. Right? And then last month's volume total. That gives you a little snippet of where we've been working so that you can say, okay, if I want that number to change, if I'm cool with that number, I'm cool with that number. But if I want that number to change, what do I need to do different to help get me to where I want to be? Okay. What are you proud of, and what are areas that you want to improve in? And that's going to be different for everybody. It's not going to be exactly the same. But I want you to understand that nothing is off limits. There's absolutely nothing off limits except for the limit that you put in your brain, except for the limit that you're putting on yourself when you look at promotions or you look at things that roll out and you say, oh, that's not for me, right? You told yourself it's not for you, but it is for you. It is available to you, for you. You just have to be hungry enough to go after it. You have to be courageous enough to try new things. You have to be courageous enough to look stupid. You have to be courageous enough to fumble, to look weird, to risk having a hater, right? Listen, you guys, dogs don't bark at parked cars. They don't. And so if you're out there making moves, at least you're making moves. They're sitting on the couch. Okay. It doesn't matter what other people say, but you have to be rooted in your vision, or you will constantly be giving up your long-term vision for what you want right now, for what feels easy. Okay. I love you guys. I'm going to leave it at that. And we'll hop back on Zoom 1st of next month. That'll be the 1st of next year. All right. I love you guys. Good night.